Let us analyze the data from our last site. Click on the right arrow. This recording contained increased jitter and blocking. Let's look at all the traces. We see there are three different colors. The white traces, as I indicated earlier, have an action potential pair, and they are used for jitter analysis. The blue traces contain action potential pair, but it is excluded from analysis automatically or by the user. And then we also see some red traces. Notice that they cross the first window, but they don't cross the second window. So this is true physiologic blocking. Let's look at the distribution of interpotential intervals, and we see a very wide scatter of these values. Again, this is consistent with increased jitter. At the top, we have one blue data point indicating very high interpotential interval. This was excluded using the 3 standard deviation band rule. We also have red data points. They indicate blocking. Let's look at the traces that we analyzed. We can easily see increased jitter, blocking. We also see that the first potential shows very good superimposition. This is essential when we are looking for blocking. If the shape of the triggering potential changes, then this could be a technical artifact. In fact, whenever there is blocking, we always like to review traces. It's quite easy to do in the system. Let's go into the all trace box, and here is a symbol for superimposed traces. I'm going to click on it, and we are looking at a few traces in the system. We can scroll through them like this. And this is a very simple method of looking at the traces. Now I can be confident that my triggering potential has not changed. In other words, the blocking that I see in this recording is a true physiologic blocking, not an artifact. We can see a large scatter of interpotential intervals, and sometimes we wonder why this interval is so short or why this interval is so long. We can access these waveforms quite easily. Let's say I want to look at this data point which produced a short interval. We click with a mouse on it, and that trace is now brought up for review. Here is a group of 5 traces. You can see it at the bottom, and the selected trace is also shown at the top, and we can easily see that it has a very short interpotential interval compared to the other traces. So this is also a very powerful technique for reviewing data. Let's say I want to look at this trace. Simply click on it, and here is the trace at the top. The software will automatically exclude the potentials with blocking when the jitter is normal. When the jitter is significantly increased, blocking is expected, as we see in this recording. But there may be a few recordings where the jitter may be slightly increased, more than 60 microseconds as far as the program is concerned, and there may not be any blocking. But there could be technical issues. For example, there is another motor unit that is discharging. So in that case, we may want to override the blocks that are seen by the program. Doing this trace by trace would be quite cumbersome. So here we have another tool. We have a function key which says block. If I click on it, the system will now ignore all the blocking potentials. I'm going to click on this trace, or I'm going to click on this button. Let's look at the traces. All the red traces are removed. So this is the way the user can override the blocking. If I want to put the blocks back into the analysis, I'm going to click on the block function key, and now the traces are back. So this is another simple and powerful tool to exclude the traces with blocking when the jitter is borderline abnormal and the blocking is not true physiologic. So to summarize, In the Viking jitter analysis, we have many different powerful tools. One is the position of windows. We can place them at correct place, change their duration so that we only include the potential of interest for analysis. This also allows us to select multiple action potential pairs in the recording. We have this box which represents mean plus 3 standard deviations by default, which excludes some outliers automatically. As we have seen in other signals, I can change the height of the box, I can change the left edge or the right edge or the bottom edge to exclude outlier potentials. This makes trace editing very easy. We also talked about the magic rectangle that allows us to exclude potentials coming from other motor units. And we have simple rules for studying the block potentials. Any blocking that occurs with normal jitter is rejected automatically, but the operator always has the full control on declaring whether the recording contains blocks or not. So using these simple strategies, jitter analysis on the Viking system is very fast and efficient, and in many laboratories it is possible to perform jitter analysis online.